What's going on there, YouTube, and welcome back to another comic book video. This is the channel where we sit down and cover different comic book stories from different comic book companies. Today I want to jump back over to Marvel Comics and I want to cover some more Moon Knight. Now the reason why, of course, because we have a Moon Knight TV series on Disney+, but also because Moon Knight is a very interesting character and he has become more popular in the more modern era of Marvel Comics. And so I want to cover the 2014 Moon Knight series written by Warren Ellis because it does ask the question, is Moon Knight actually crazy? Is he actually insane? Or maybe something is just wrong with him in the brain that's not dealing with his personality disorder. You'll see what I mean as we go through the first volume of a 3-volume series. So if you do like today's comic book video, please hit that like button down below and subscribe. Also, any suggestions on books I should read, well, please let me know in the comments below because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But here we go, Warren Ellis Moon Knight Volume 1. So in the beginning of this book, it actually focuses on starting off by asking a question, who is Moon Knight? Like, we know he is Mark Spector. We know that he was shot and killed, but apparently he was brought back to life by Khonshu. Khonshu being this moon god. Mark Spector became the avatar for Khonshu. It is everything we kind of already had an idea about Moon Knight. Also asking the question, is Moon Knight insane? Or deals with multiple personality disorder? It is Warren Ellis telling us that we should really think about who Moon Knight is and do we really know who he is? Well, that is what I took from when it came to this book. Except we didn't get the idea that Moon Knight is doing something different in this book. And you will see what I mean here in a minute. Skip forward to the moment where we say that Moon Knight might have a new personality. This time he is known as Mr. Knight. So what is this new person he is going by? Why is he doing this? These are some good questions to ask. Now this book is not just going to blow open your mind right off the bat. There are a lot of small things here and there that help you piece things together to make you think, because each chapter is him dealing with something in the city of New York. With all of that being said, we see Moon Knight being Mr. Knight, and he is meeting up with Detective Flint. This is us learning that the two of them have some kind of deal that was done in the past, letting Mr. Knight be someone who helps with the crazy cases the police have going on. Now, when Mr. Knight walks in, they don't know him as Mr. Knight. They know him as Moon Knight. So they're looking at their boss, Detective Flint, like, dude, are you really going to let this man be here and work here on this case? They know Moon Knight has a maniac, he is a maniac who has killed people too. Flint tells them he is not Moon Knight, he is Mr. Knight, and that is it. Nothing else to say. He is here to help out. So getting into the first case that Mr. Knight is dealing with, we see him looking around a crime scene. This crime scene is where there is a dead body on the ground who was really cut up. The question is, who did it and why? So that is why Mr. Knight is here for, to figure out who the killer is. Honestly, this is the best moment of the book because it is Mr. Knight looking at all the clues the cops miss. He is able to build an idea on who they should be looking for and where this person could be at. It only took him about 3 minutes to look at the clues and explain to the cops where they should go. Then he tells the cops that he will deal with this killer because this killer is hiding somewhere in the sewers. Could be very dangerous and the cops might not be able to handle this. So we see him going down a ladder that will lead him to some kind of tunnel, knowing that someone who is a killer like this must be hiding out somewhere in the lower parts of the sewers. Of course, as he is walking up, that is when he sees this person had made a home in this tunnel. So of course, Moon Knight knows he found the killer, especially when he sees a trail of blood on the ground. Now when he enters this room, Moon Knight throws one of his, I call Moonerangs, that comes into play here in a minute. But the killer hiding in the shadows asks Moon Knight if he is armed. Of course, Moon Knight is not anymore. but they can finally have a conversation. So the next set of pages is really where you have the book explain the killer, not dealing with his origin too much. We don't get a name, but we learned that this guy is an ex-SHIELD agent. He was injured at one of the SHIELD camps where he had lost a lot of body parts and looked burned, so he was really messed up. SHIELD did not try to fix him up, so they let him go. So he took all of the SHIELD tech they had laying around, and what they did not use to help him, he used to make him what he is right now. Also, the people that he has been killing were for extra body parts that he was missing. He is doing all of this so SHIELD can hopefully take him back. He thinks that Mr. Knight is going to be an easy kill right at this moment. But remember that Moonerang that Mr. Knight threw earlier, because it was so loud down in this tunnel with all the machinery down there, this ex-SHIELD agent did not hear the Moonerang bouncing off things, so it lands perfectly in the stomach of this killer, where of course it is an important part that actually slows down this guy, giving Mr. Knight the chance to actually beat this guy down so quickly, which is the point. This guy was easy picking and thinking he had everything set to win whatever crosses his path. So this section wrapped up quickly and we moved on. Then we get this moment of the book where we see Mark Spector, aka Moon Knight, aka Mr. Knight, as he is visiting a doctor about his mental state. And this was before he came back to New York with a new persona. This doctor basically tells him that he does not have personality disorder, that in reality, he has brain damage. She says that he did die. He was brought back to life, but not by Khonshu like he think he was, that some kind of space tech brought him back to life. Then goes on to say that since Khonshu was a god who attacks people at night, Khonshu has 4 traits: Pathfinder, Embracer, Defender, and Watcher. Each of these gave birth to a persona in Mark Spector's head, but in reality, he is not crazy. It is just thanks to his brain damage. Except then we jump back into the present day, where we see Mark Spector walking into his home. That is when he is hunted by the spirits of his other personas that he had used in the past. Also, he is still hunted by Khonshu, who tells Mark Spector that Mark belongs to him. And that is the end of just the first chapter. So we skip to the opening pages of the second chapter, and this begins another case Mr. Knight is going to work on. The opening pages doesn't even focus on Moon Knight. Instead, it focuses on 8 different people who we have no idea who they are. We just see them all having a normal day, or what a normal day would be for them. Except that is when each one of them is killed by a sniper. So the question is now, why are they dying? Also, as they are being killed, we see someone talking to us about what they did was wrong, how they were part of some special operation group. They apparently used someone for years for special work, and then discarded him and left this person in another country. So we get an idea what is going on here with this case. So we jump to the next section where it is Mark Spector being Moon Knight now, that he is not wearing his Mr. Knight persona gear, letting us know that maybe this requires more of a superhero rather than detective persona. This is the moment where you have Moon Knight actually find the sniper, and this begins a set of pages where you have Moon Knight fighting this guy. Of course, this guy is able to stand against Moon Knight for a time being, but it doesn't last long. Moon Knight is able to get the upper hand on this guy, and it all comes down to him finally telling Moon Knight everything he wants to know. Basically, he was a guy that was trained by a special operation force that sent in soldiers into other countries to change the course of the country. So like, if they have some special kind of election going on, that special group would send in this special agent to kill one of the people running in that election. There were 9 of them who worked in that special group, and the sniper had only killed 8 of those people. But that is when the last one appears out of nowhere and actually kills the sniper. He tells us how once they leave the special group, they go out and get new jobs. This agent was not supposed to come back, but since they trained him so well, there was no way this would not come back to kill them. But this chapter ends on that note. So it makes you wonder why in the world this took a whole chapter. But the 3rd chapter focuses on Mark Spector becoming Mr. Knight because his next case deals with more on the ghost side of things. So it takes a detective to figure out, but we don't get to see him do the work yet because we have to introduce the idea of a ghost gang running around New York and attacking random people for the heck of it. So it is like where these ghosts are coming from. Are these ghosts actually real or some kind of trick going on by maybe a new villain? So you have Mr. Knight appear in the city and begin the process of fighting these guys. But he learns very quickly that these guys are not real. These are actually ghosts. And this is something that he can't stop. So the question is, what can he do? All of his punches go through them. Except when they attack him, they brutally beat down on him, leaving him badly wounded. I'll say almost the wrong word. Wounded. It just seems that maybe he should go back to his home and hopefully figure something out that will help him deal with this problem. This is the perfect moment Warren Ellis, the writer of this book, reminds us about what is going on at the home of Mark Spector at the moment. Remember that he is being hunted by the spirits of his other personas. And of course, he is being hunted by Khonshu, the moon god that Mark Spector was being an avatar for. But this story is establishing that these personas were made only because Mark Spector was brought back to life by some kind of space tech. We know that is not true. But for the moment, let's go with it. Except this is the moment you have Khonshu talk to Mark Spector and tell him that apparently he has some kind of gear that can help him deal with the ghost problem. Also, this is Khonshu trying to make Mark Spector believe that ghosts are real. Because hey, there is Khonshu talking to you right now. That is when you see Mark Spector go into some kind of room where he finds all of this ancient armor that will allow him to beat the ghost. Except this is the moment you had a story continue the idea that Mark Spector persona forgets things when the other personas take over. Because he says he doesn't remember gathering these things. But at the same time, Khonshu says he was not supposed to remember. So we use the next section to show off Moon Knight wearing a set of ancient armor to give him the edge he needs against the ghost. So you have him actually being able to punch them now, something he couldn't do at first. And this time the ghosts did not stand a chance against him, since these ghosts are more just biker gang. They don't know how to actually fight like Moon Knight does. So this fight does wrap up pretty quickly and then leads into him going somewhere else to hopefully end this ghost problem that is going on in the city. And so to close on this 3rd chapter of the book, we see Moon Knight being able to find the dead body that is causing all the ghosts in the city. Now this is not explained to us, but it could mean that this man was waiting for his friends to come back because his mom gave him a gift asking him to be a good guy from now on. I guess he was going to ask his friends to turn their life around as well. But this is the end of this issue here, and we have to move on to the next case, but getting more small moments about if Mark Spector is crazy. The next chapter is a different case, but still dealing with things that are not normal to see in the city, because we see Moon Knight picking up a guy named Dr. Skeleton. Now there is a connection between Dr. Skeleton and Moon Knight, but not going to get into it right now. Now Moon Knight is back in his Mr. Moon Knight persona because he was called by Detective Flint. The detective he had been working with for a while tells him about a case where there is a research about how sleeping and dreaming help people at night. The problem is that all the patients are having the same dream, something that should not be happening at all. No one should be able to have the same dream as another person. This dream is causing everyone to go mad and almost kill themselves in their sleep. So for Mr. Knight to figure out what is going on at this research lab, he has to be the next patient for Dr. Skeleton to figure out what is going on here. So Mr. Knight and Skeleton go to the place where the research lab is at, where it is some kind of old beat down building. Makes sense for the book. But either way, once they go inside, you have Mr. Knight ask for a room where 1, he can lock himself in, 2, no one can bother him either. Now this room is very important for the story. You will see why, because it is going to help Mr. Knight solve this case and be able to get who's at fault for this whole dream problem going on. He also asked Khonshu to help put him to sleep. So we then see Moon Knight being put to sleep by Khonshu. This leads into the dream sequence of the story, but we see Mr. Knight change personas into the Moon Knight persona, where he is now running around this dream world hoping to help him figure out what is going on here. Now while Moon Knight is running around this world, he is also finding out that there is someone trying to talk to him. This person is telling Moon Knight how he feels trapped in his corpse. He is wondering if this person is dead or alive. Moon Knight does see someone there in the dream world. Once he runs into this big brain, that is when he finally snaps out of this dream world. Now once Moon Knight wakes up from his dream, well, this dude goes quickly into the office of Dr. Skeleton to talk to him. Well, I mean, he doesn't talk to him. Instead, we see Moon Knight begin the process of beating this guy down and dragging him into the other room to show him something. This is why I said that room plays a very important role for this story, because once they're in the room, well, that is the moment you have Moon Knight reveal under the floor there is a dead body that has rats eating it. Also has some kind of fungus growing out of the brain. That is when you have Dr. Skeleton tell us that when he first began his research project, his first patient was someone he got off Craigslist, except he had no idea that patient has some kind of fungi growing in his brain. So he died quickly in the research project. But Dr. Skeleton did not want anyone to know, so he decided to bury the body underneath the floor. Except with the body growing a fungus out of his brain, the people have been basically breathing in his dreams. So that is why people have been going crazy in this city. The chapter ends on that note. This next case is more normal because we pick up with Mr. Knight driving up to a building and a guy watching out front. This is where we learn that this guy and his crew have kidnapped some lady. So this is Mr. Knight asking about what floor the girl is on and how many people are in the building. He's wondering how he is going to save this young lady from this group of people that had kidnapped the girl. So the next of the pages is really just Mr. Knight going around beating these guys who have kidnapped the girl. It is Mr. Knight showing off his skills in beating these guys down, but making sure they learn a lesson about why they should not try to do evil things in his city. We see him stabbing people, throwing people off one floor to the other. It is a complete beating, but there is no reason for us to stick around on this moment really. So we can move on to the next big thing in this chapter. So we see him being able to find the girl and she's being held at gunpoint. This is my favorite moment in this book because this man thinks he has the advantage over Moon Knight because the gun being pointed at the girl's head, except Moon Knight scared him so much he dropped the gun and Moon Knight takes him out easily. There was one thug that tried to run away by going out the roof exit and thinking that maybe he'll be the one to get away. Except Moon Knight decides to tell his moon plane to land right on top of this guy, squashing him and leaving him in a bloody mess. He's still alive though. This is Moon Knight is using this guy as a way to send a message to anyone out there trying to do something in his city. That's when they see him, they should run away, and that is the end of only the 5th chapter. With the final chapter of this book, we actually jump back to the beginning of this video. Not the very beginning, but the moment where you have Moon Knight talking to the cops where he was dealing with the ex-SHIELD agent case. There was a cop there who was questioning Moon Knight. thinking that he is some crazy dude and the cops should have dealt with the case. But when Moon Knight kind of said this cop couldn't handle this problem, we learned that growing up, this cop, his name is Ryan Trent, has always been verbally abused by people, and it led to him becoming a cop. We see Ryan Trent begin this training montage and also learn all of the information he can about Moon Knight, especially one of the villains Moon Knight had fought, but the person is dead who went by the name Black Spectra. We see him going through some old cases and old evidence, trying to learn how to use darts as his weapon to use against Moon Knight. He's doing all of this because Moon Knight told him he wasn't good enough to take care of a certain problem. He is constantly trying to get better, and he will keep trying to get better to beat Moon Knight. We then see Ryan Trent going to meet up with Marlene. If you are new to the Moon Knight comics, well, let me tell you who Marlene is. She was the love interest to Mark Spector, but he is coming here to learn more about Moon Knight from her. She's one of the two people who would know him the best, except she does not want to talk to Ryan. She does not want to talk about Mark Spector. She knows that he is back in town, but honestly, she does not care for Mark Spector at all. By the way, he asks her by pretending to be a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. He goes on to see John Paul, who was kind of like an assistant or partner to Mark Spector. But the point of this moment is Ryan still trying to get dirt on Mark Spector. Now, John Paul knows Ryan is pretending to be a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, but he tells Ryan that, hey, Moon Knight has not contacted anyone from his old group, which is great because of John Paul. He is just someone who uses people and blood money. Also, all the tech he is using is all autopilot, meaning he has not recruited anyone for a new crew at all. So this leads into Ryan going back home with everything he had gathered, and him talking to his wife about his plan, how he is going to be the new Black Spectra. It is going to be short-lived. He sees the errors of Black Spectra had, and thinks that he is going to do a better job. Black Spectra was a villain who was trying to kill Moon Knight and almost took over the city last time. For Ryan, he will become Black Spectra, but not be a villain. Just kill Moon Knight and replace him. He then goes on to kill his wife because it seems that maybe his wife could rat him out to the cops since he told her his plans. Okay, now I give Ryan some props here for his plan on killing Moon Knight. It is actually pretty clever, I have to say. The reason why I say that is because his plan is to kill some random person, leave that person in a car with the bomb underneath the car. So when Moon Knight drives up close to the site, because the police were called, meaning that Moon Knight was also called as well. Once Moon Knight has driven up close to the car with his own car, well, the bomb goes off, and hopefully that will kill Moon Knight, and he can continue on with his plan to replace Moon Knight. Like I said, I give Ryan some props here for his plan, but of course it doesn't work. This book ends with Ryan trying to fight against Moon Knight and trying to just complete the idea of him taking over Moon Knight's place. Of course, it doesn't happen because Moon Knight is able to beat down on Ryan, and even after the second bomb goes off, Moon Knight doesn't get hurt or anything. So Ryan's plan has fallen apart that quickly. Then you have Moon Knight explain that Black Spectra was someone who just wanted to be loved. People who always want to be loved usually suffer. For Moon Knight, he does not need love, and that is why he always wins. And that is the end of today's comic book video. So if you did like today's comic book video, hit that like button down below and subscribe. Also, any suggestions on books I should read, well, please hit that subscribe. Wait, sorry, I'm wrong. If you have any suggestions on books I should read, well, please let me know in the comments below, because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. I do hope you enjoyed today's comic book video.